I also am very frustrated with moments where it seems like an action is being taken either because the writer is being lazy or the character is being stupid.
Does comedy have the same plot structure as drama?
Most of the time. The arc of a comic story is this. The hero goes through an arc of change from denial to acceptance of the theme, the thing he has to fix. And he is rewarded with community. I'm thinking about the movie Liar, Liar. Jim Carrey is a pathological liar. He needs to learn to tell the truth. So he undergoes an arc of change from denial to acceptance. He goes from thinking lying is good to telling the truth is good. And he's rewarded with a good relationship with his son. So he's rewarded with community. If you think about every movie you've ever seen with the word wedding in the title, the arc is always the same. Heroes go from denial to acceptance of the thing they need to change in order to win true love. Then they're rewarded with true love. They're rewarded with entrance into community in its most profound expression, which is couplehood in the eyes of the tribe. That's kind of how we value community at the utmost. The difference between comedy and tragedy, specifically, in comedy, the hero learns the lesson of the theme and is rewarded with community. In tragedy, the hero never learns the lesson of the theme and is punished with exile or death. Right now I'm thinking about, God, how many times have I said right now I'm thinking about, when I watch this video back, I will knock myself in the head for having said right now I'm thinking about so many times.
Examples are great though, thank you.
Let's consider the Great Gatsby. Gatsby never learns that his path to glory is not the one that he thinks it is. And he's devastated in the end. Or King Lear, classic tragedy of King Lear. Look, Lear, you only have to do one thing, accept your daughter's love. If you do that, all will be well. No, I'm a dumbass, I'm stubborn, I cannot accept her love, therefore I must die in the wilderness, blind, insane, and alone. That's what happens when you don't learn the lesson. So what's the difference between comedy and drama? Well, the difference between comedy and tragedy is clearly, in comedy, the hero learns the lesson. In tragedy, the hero never learns the lesson. Drama can kind of end up both ways. You can reach a space where the characters have achieved understanding, but still get a bad outcome. That's problematic for audiences. I'll give you a great example. The movie Thelma and Louise. These characters need to undergo transformation. One needs to have an authentic bond with another human being. That's Thelma. And one needs to set herself free from her abusive relationship. That's Louise. I think I have it right. If it's not that, it's exactly the other way around. They go on a journey together. They achieve their outcome. But the way they achieve the outcome, in achieving the outcome, they cross a line that society will not allow. They kill, they murder. And so they have to pay the ultimate price. And at the end of the movie, in the original screenplay, I've read it, it looks like this. They fly off the cliff, sorry, spoiler alert, they fly off the cliff and crash and die, the end. When they tested that ending in front of audiences, the audiences hated it because they love Thelma and Louise. They don't want to see Thelma and Louise die. They want a happy ending. The story will not allow a happy ending, so the filmmaker very cleverly creates the expectation of a happy ending, or at least the suspension of the bad ending. We now see Thelma and Louise taking off and freeze frame. And we know, yeah, they're probably going to die, but in this moment, we can imagine that they live in eternity and they got their happy ending. Exact same ending as Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, where Butch and Sundance, by the way, if you haven't seen that class, go see that. Butch and Sundance, they have their backs to the wall, they must die. And they run out with guns blazing and they're shot dead. But it's freeze frame, so we never see them die. They live on in eternity. That's how you bring a character to a tragic but not unhappy ending.
What are some of your pet peeves when it comes to plot?
I was watching a movie last night called Narvik. It's a... No, I got a better example. I recently read for the first time in my life Treasure Island. Robert Louis Stevenson's classic tale of pirates and piracy. I didn't realize how many of our pirate tropes come from that novel, but the plot was very unsatisfying to me. My pet peeve was I was ahead of the narrator. I knew what was going to happen. Even though the narrator was trying to fool me, I could see several steps ahead. So that's a pet peeve for me. when the narrative is not sufficiently sophisticated that I don't know what's happening, that I know too easily what's happening, that there's not an interesting puzzle for me to solve. Interestingly, I decided I'm going to cut Robert Louis Stevenson a little slack, because when he wrote those plot twists, they were brand new. Nobody had ever contemplated a move like that in a novel before. So, and the 10-year-old boys who encounter it, they've never experienced it. It's spellbinding to them. It's a legitimate move. We go back to The Big Fat Middle. Maybe I'm not the right audience for that book. A pet peeve of mine in storytelling is storytelling that's clumsy, unsophisticated, makes it too easy for me to problem solve. I also am very frustrated with moments where it seems like an action is being taken either because the writer is being lazy or the character is being stupid. I find those are places where I check out of a story. If I feel like I'm reading something, I say to the writer, man, you could have done better than that. That's just, that's only an okay choice. I expected better than that of you. Or more profoundly, if the writer gives the character a choice that doesn't make sense according to my understanding of the character, I'm not having that. I will not tolerate, I won't root for a hero who doesn't know enough to act in his own self-interest. There's a great example, but I'm not sure if I can share it because it has to do with Avatar 2, The Way of Water. There's a moment in Avatar 2. The hero has taken his family to safety. They're safe. As long as they don't make any mistakes, the bad guys will never find them. They've achieved their mission. Trouble is, if they've achieved their mission, that's where the movie ends. It's not very interesting. This is very early in the movie, relatively early. Character makes a mistake. Character reaches out to allies in the outer world and unintentionally tips off the bad guys where he is. He gives himself away, is what happens. And I say to myself, I leave this movie right here, because you just did something so manifestly not in your self-interest. Either you did it because you didn't care, or you did it because you didn't know, and either way I no longer like you. I've checked out emotionally. I ran this by a friend of mine and he said, you are watching the wrong movie. Avatar 2, The Way of Water isn't about strategic choices, it's about pretty pictures. And if you'll give yourself a better movie-going experience if you meet it where it lives, so to speak. And so I realized, once again, I'm bringing my expectations to the story. I'm losing enjoyment because I'm letting my expectations interfere with the moment. If I just let go of my expectations and let the movie be exactly what it is, I'm going to have a better time. The real takeaway from this is don't have pet peeves. Don't have them at all. Don't have expectations, and then you won't be disappointed. Meet the material where it is. Recognize it's not a good movie or a bad movie. It's just the movie that it is. There's a great one that people argue about all the time. It was the Disaster Artist, James Franco's take on that guy. I don't even remember his name. But that guy made a movie that people couldn't stand. The Room, that people couldn't stand. But other people found surprising value in it. The ones who couldn't stand it because it didn't match the norms they expected. The ones who had value in it were the ones who met it where it was. Well, this is this guy's expression. He's got something to say. He's gone to some effort to say it. Let's embrace what he has to say rather than rejecting it because it doesn't fit our expectations. Nevertheless, writers, keep your character smart because audiences will leave. They're not as generous of spirit as you would like them to be, and they'll leave if they feel like the character is doing things that they can't get behind.